Hi, everyone. I'm Brian, founder of I Want to Mow Your Lawn, a nonprofit dedicated to helping those in need with lawn care services. Today, I'm excited to chat with Richard Cording, a board member of I Want to Mow Your Lawn and founder of CLC Landscape Design based in Ringwood, New Jersey. We connected back in fall 2020, and it's been an incredible journey since. Richard has not only offered his expertise, but also supported us behind the scenes, providing storage space and employee time to help our cause. I'm eager for Richard to share his story and impact we've been able to make together. So let's dive in.
Well, in 1973, I was in college and I was cutting lawns. And for 2 years, the company was a little bit successful, but certainly not what it is now. And I decided that that would be, at least for a couple of more years after I got out of college, would be my career. I was actually trained to be an elementary and special ed teacher. And I thought I was just doing the landscaping as a placeholder until I finally got a teaching job. But instead, 1 year led to 2 years, and I just celebrated my 50th anniversary. What led me into the industry was really just happenstance. Someone in high school called me and told me that he had a job for me and was willing to pay me $250 an hour, and I jumped on it. It was cutting lawns, and so I started my own care company after 2 years and worked my way through the last 2 years of college, and then eventually got out of the lawn cutting. So that's always been weird with you, Brian. I want to mow your lawn, and I don't mow lawns, but we help out in different ways, as you know. I know that's an interesting question I've never thought about. What superpower would we want? I would say the superpower would be how to read people's minds and design something within their budget.
Okay, there you go.
Marry great ideas to a client's budget. Well, the vision has really evolved into a totally different thing. Initially, it was just cutting lawns. Then a few clients asked me to do plantings, and I found I really had a love and a passion for doing plantings, then patios, then construction. And now 100% of our business is residential, landscape design, and construction. I'm now a licensed landscape architect. I employ 9 landscape architects, most of them licensed also. We start with a landscape design, and once that is designed, then we give them prices on implementing it. Very often, a lot of the work in our designs we don't do in-house. So we have a great pool company we work with. We have a great construction company for our pavilions. Really evolved into something now that my greatest joy comes from just helping people. People come to our company and they don't know what they want. They've seen pictures of beautiful backyards. They don't know what things cost. So it's like this journey you go on with a client from the first time you meet them to when it's all done. And to me, having someone say to me, Rich, this journey with you and your company has just been wonderful. Because I have 2 sons in business with me, and I have right now we're at 100 employees. So, we have just phenomenal team of people for 3 divisions. And our passion, and everybody in the company would say the same thing, is in doing beautiful work for great clients, because you can't do great work without great clients. And that really is something that I've learned to appreciate, that a client who works with you, they're taking a huge leap of faith. Not just financially, but your ideas and everything, because most people are not experts in this business. So we have really tried to bring together a team of experts to guide clients in every single aspect of their project. One, having wonderful employees that I work with. There's such a team energy. You've met Nick and you've met some of our guys. I mean, how can you not be inspired to work with people like that? They're just phenomenal human beings. As I mentioned earlier, I have 2 sons in business with me. My one son does sales with me, and my other son runs 2 of my 3 divisions. Passionate is working with great people in my company and then helping people. I can't tell you how many people have written beautiful 5-star reviews, and some of them make me cry. When they tell you how we affected their lives. Even that job I did with people in Fairlawn, and how the wife and husband, were so inspired by the landscape work. I mean, obviously it was volunteer work and they really appreciated that. But it's that same joy when we see a client we had a client, I'm not exaggerating. I'm going to say 2006. We did a beautiful backyard, whole property, but in the backyard, we had a swimming pool, etc. And at that point, she had a couple of children, and she sent me a voicemail, I don't know, several months ago, and I saved it. In the voicemail, she says, Rich, I'm now a grandmother. My grandchildren are here. The same backyard you did, whatever, 15 years ago is still gorgeous and still bringing joy to my family and now my grandchildren. I can never thank you enough. And I'm like, 15 years later, she's still motivated to leave a message like that. So that's what makes me passionate is as trying to get every client to be as thrilled as this client is. I've been blessed. I believe everything happens for a reason. And to be blessed with 100 wonderful employees is something I never could have envisioned. Never. To have a company that's been around for 50 years, never could have envisioned it. And, I believe these blessings come from a higher power, whatever you want to call that. And I believe it's part of our joy. I've never wanted for anything in my life. Been fortunate, and I feel it's just, I'm not going to say, I don't want to say it's a responsibility or an obligation because it doesn't feel like that. It feels like such a joy to give. It feels like now, my companies are at a point where I'm not worried about the day-to-day operations. I'm not worried about, can I make payroll this week? Those worries were many years ago. So now it's like, how can we do the best possible work? How can we make sure our employees are thrilled? And how can we give back to the community? We're on this little campaign now. So for anybody listening to this, contact Brian and he'll get in touch with me. We're trying to plant trees to help climate change. So we just donated 2 trees to 2 charitable organizations, and they did a fundraiser. I don't know who they're going to be yet, who the people are. One of them has already been selected. The other one we just did to raise money for an elementary school. And so we're really into donating a tree. So we picked a tree. It's going to be a shade tree that's going to last hundreds of years. We then go to your site, figure out the best place to put it, and then we install it. And all of that's is part of this kind of kick that we're on now, which is not only are we helping charitable organizations like yours, but we're helping the world. We're helping climate change. And whenever you read anything, what a tree does in terms of taking out carbon dioxide and replacing it with oxygen is the reason we're alive on this earth. So, that's becoming a new passion of mine is to what I can in my own life and through my business um, to try to help climate change. In fact, you inspired us with your electric back blowers. Right now, as we're talking, we are building a solar powered trailer to do solar back blowers and oh no, I'm sorry, electric back blowers that are charged by our solar trailer. So it's kind of an experiment.
Cool.
One of my men who worked for me used to be in the solar industry, so it's kind of his winter project to do this. So I'm looking forward to it. That's a great question. I don't seek them out, and I probably want to. Pretty much for most of my career, people are always coming from charitable organizations and asking for something. Um, can you donate something for us to do a fundraiser? So now what's happening is school A is telling, community C is telling so hopefully it'll begin to grow. But no, we haven't sorted out. When people come to us, this is kind of our new thing now, which is to donate a tree, which we pick, we install, we deliver, and the client would have the final say where it goes. And the schools and the charitable organizations, or I don't know what they're selling it for or what people. I know one they bid on it. It was like we put $1,500 value, and maybe someone bid on it and spent 200 to get it. I don't know, but that 200, 100% of that money goes to the charitable organization, and they don't pay us a penny. We everything, and depending on where it is, one of my 3 divisions and one of my managers would go there, meet with the client, help them pick out a tree, where it is, what they're looking for, so that it's the perfect tree for the perfect spot. It's called Vitas or Vitas, Vitas. And I just went online. I want to do something once a week, do some volunteer work. And so I signed up to do something where it's hospice care, but the volunteer is really just somebody who sits with the people, doesn't really do too much. It seemed like it would be something I would enjoy. Sitting literally with someone's parents,
Yeah.
most of what she said I would be doing is somebody's taking care of a loved one and they want to go food shopping. They don't want to leave their loved one alone. I sit with the loved one, I talk to them or hold their hand or do nothing. Big changes, that affected my company. The single biggest one was COVID. Unfortunately, COVID, people were home and they wanted to do great landscape, designs and get pools and stuff in. So a lot of my growth took place during that time, or most recent growth. And I have taken over 3 companies, but I didn't pay anything for them. They didn't. It wasn't like I was out looking to buy something. It's just a wonderful testimony to the people in my company that all 3 of these companies, one in Montclair, one in Randolph, and one in Midland Park. In fact, Nick, I know are very close with Nick, who runs my Bergen County division. Nick works for this other landscaper. And how it started was this other landscaper was retiring, and he sold off his irrigation division, his lighting division, his maintenance division, but he couldn't sell his landscape construction division. And he now had gotten to the point where retirement was pending and he wanted to get a good job for his premier employee, Nick. So I never met the man. He called me out of the blue, and based on what he had heard about my company, he asked if I'd be interested in interviewing this person. One thing led to another. I now have 15 of my 35 people in Bergen are all from this gentleman's company. At some point, they worked for him. I now rent from, unfortunately, the gentleman passed away a few weeks ago. He was a wonderful human being, and he retired and he got cancer. So it's a heartbreaking situation. But I'm now working with his wife. He was a really, really good Christian, and he really believed it was his purpose on earth to help other people. And he worked through his landscape company to help several organizations. One, he was helping runaway children. He helped. I don't know exactly what he did, but I know he was involved with it both through financial donations, and he built stuff. He built patios for them. He built, did plantings for them. So I'm trying to now take over some of his charitable efforts. His name was Glenn Jacobson. He was a good man, and he was a leader in our industry. So I just kind of inherited all his employees, and now I pay his wife rent, and I use their place. The second one was Terra Graphics out of Montclair. Lisa and Frank Conti, again, had heard wonderful things about our company, never met them. They called me up. They were the first company I took over. They called me up 4 or 5 years ago and asked me if I'd be interested. I wasn't interested in purchasing the company, although I did buy some of their trucks. But same thing. These people are such wonderful beings. They wanted their employees. They had 9 employees or 7. I forgot. It wasn't many. It wasn't a big company, but they wanted to find a home for them. And they wanted someone who's going to take care of their employees. So I hired every one of their employees, gave them all raises, gave them all extra benefits. And honestly, they've been the most unbelievable team. We yard, and we work out of Montclair, and that's our Montclair division now. And that's great. And then 2 years ago, another company in Randolph, very small boutique landscape design build company, same thing. Heard we had taken over these other companies. Everybody thinks I'm out there buying up companies, but I'm really not. It's money. And same story. She had 5, 6 wonderful people who wanted. She was sure they had a good job, and there's also a win-win there. All 3 of these companies, if any of their work flowed through to me. So in other words, let's say somebody from this company in Randolph said, "Hey, could you do this job?" And she goes, "Well, I'm out of business. Let me give it to CLC Landscape Design." And if we did it, we would give her a referral fee. And so she could still make some money on it. And honestly, Sue, who does work with you, who I've donated her time to you at times, Sue came from that company. And I got a wonderful plant person who picks out all my plants. Shannon came from that company, and I got a whole construction crew from her. So a lot of my growth in the last 4 or 5 years has come from what you're calling acquisitions, but it was really more just a harmonious blending of people. They were just looking out for the best for their employees, and it turned out to be a win-win situation. Well, we have 6 core values that I established in 1998, and I teach them to all my signs up in all our buildings, in our offices, in our garages that embody our 6 core values. They are service. We're here to help people, not here to make money. Yes, you got to make money to be in service, but our first core value is service. We are here to help people. And every one of my employees is empowered to help people, meaning to help our clients. So a client doesn't have to always be talking to me to get the best service. They're getting actually phenomenal service from the skilled who's building their wall, or the project manager, or the foreman, or even the truck driver. It doesn't matter. They're all empowered, and they know our number 1 core value is service, which is to help people. The number 2 core value is knowledge. You can't help people if you don't have knowledge. So I'm constantly sending all my people to classes. We allow them any class they want to attend, and Rutgers has great classes in the winters. They have a landscape design class. Almost everyone in management has gone to that. They also have a plant ID class. People have taken seminars at the Bronx Botanical Garden. So whatever suits a person and their specific, joy or passion, we will pay for them to get more knowledge. We do training sessions. Nick just held a leadership training one over in Bergen. And my son, Rich, who got his master's in landscape design from Columbia, he was also, in the Navy. He was a U.S. officer, U.S. He's a true leader, and he is always training everybody under him. And as you know, with Navy officers, their standards are impeccable. There's no gray. You either do it the best or you don't do it, because lives are at stake. And he came in about 20 years ago when he got out of the Navy, and he was instrumental in implementing my core values. So we have, first one again is service. Second one is knowledge. The third one is honesty. There's just, whatever the answer is, the answer is. If your truck is broke, fine, but don't ever tell somebody you're not there because your truck broke and your truck wasn't broke. Whatever it is, it is. Same thing with, hey, we hit a rock here. It's going to cost more to do it. Whatever it is, you give them a price. So honesty. The 4th core value, which to me is one of the most important internally, is synergy, which is the group is more important than any individual, and all of us work together to help our team. Everyone has individual teams, but then they're all part of a bigger division. Then they're all part of one company. And this synergy, I think, is what makes us unique in this industry. There's not many people who have the amount of employees we have with the amount of different skill sets that we have. So synergy, we're all working together for the possible job for our clients, is huge. The last one is the golden rule, which is treat others how you want to be treated, both internally and with clients. And, that has helped us a lot, because when someone's confused about what to do, they say, well, I know Rich says we treat people like we want to be treated. So I know if it was my house, I want to be told in advance that I can't have my car in the driveway tomorrow. So they make it a point to let that client know, hey, tomorrow we're getting a delivery. Would you mind having your whatever? It's just simple things like that. And then the last one is gratitude. Be grateful. None of us are entitled to anything, and just be grateful. After Glenn passed away, and he was 62, and I friend, he became very close to me the last few years, and to watch him pass away was very tough. And it just showed you can't. My son passed away 2 years ago, and sorry, I know where you want to win, but these things were instrumental for me. They changed me as a person. So to me, when I can do something good in life, I feel like I'm honoring my son, I'm honoring Glenn, and I'm honoring the divine, and no better way to say it. So thank you for you get that out if you want.
It's really impactful. I appreciate you sharing that. It's inspiring to see family businesses thrive in some way, shape, or form. What legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Well, I pray my sons keep the business going as successfully and vibrantly and passionately as I have. I hope someday my picture's on the wall that says founder, and that I know they will. I just no doubt in my mind that they will continue the legacy of great work, of really caring about people. I believe that what's made us successful is our employees. Right now, I have 3 employees that have been with me over 40 years. I have probably 25 employees that have been with me over 20 years. I don't over in my business. Nobody in our industry can say this to my knowledge. We have a waiting list. I just had one of my best employees. He had an opportunity to go into a different division, a different industry, and he left. Within 2 days, I replaced him with someone who's been wanting to come to work for us for a few years, who was highly skilled. He was running construction division of another company, and within 3 days, and it's just because all he keeps saying is the same thing. I want to come work for you guys. You guys are like family, because several of the people who work for me now used to work with him at his other company, and we've just been blessed to have great employees. And I think, I know my sons will treat, because I see them doing it already, they will treat our employees in such a phenomenal fashion. And, I hope they do it moving forward, knowing that this was the way I was, and they continue that legacy. One, you'll never feel greater joy. There's nothing better than giving back. Nothing. I now mentor small businesses also. And when my profile went up, it's through SCORE, which you can see it says SCORE Chapter Administration on my thing. It doesn't say Rich from CLC. People from all over the country started contacting me, wanted to start a landscape company. And to me, seeing the questions that they have, which is all the same things I went through, that I can help share with them. Well, no, you want to do this, not that. Do this, don't do that. Whatever you do, don't spend money on that until when you like this one gentleman from South Carolina. He has credit card debt that's strangling him. And so, I'm working not just from a horticultural or a landscape perspective, but from a financial perspective, which is you've got to consolidate that, and you've got to get rid of that debt. You cannot be paying 22% per month, which was his single biggest expense, was his credit card debt. So we strategized different ways to do it, and he's going into it. So I would just tell anybody in our industry, come cut lawns from mowyerlawn.com. Okay, that's a no-brainer. Everybody can do one extra house for free. It is a no-brainer. And in my case, you keep sending me the bigger projects for the people who need total renovations and cleanups. And anybody in our industry who does that will love it. And there's millions of other ways that they give back too. You always see these signs up where someone does something for free for the center of a town or something like that. And you don't always have to do it with the intent of getting something, because there is a lot of joy in just doing it. I don't know what I get or don't get from certain things that I do, and I don't worry about it, because one of the people in my business has told me many times, the more you give, the more you receive. And I'm really beginning to believe in my heart of hearts that that is the absolute truth. Trends come back, and they always seem to be a lot of the same things, meaning right now, outdoor kitchens, fire elements, fireplaces, fire pits are very popular. Swimming pools were like phenomenally popular during COVID, and they're still popular now. Outdoor living spaces, which we specialize in designing. People have really embraced in the last few years, more than I've seen in a while, where so many people want this nice intimate space that they can sit in, maybe with a shade structure over it. A lot of people are bringing TV sets outside now. So I would say that a lot of these same trends that have been around for years, that have gone in different, have been more popular at different times in my career. I've never seen as many people wanting shade structures. as now. You know what I mean? They used to put up an awning or an umbrella, but now everybody seems to want pergolas, pavilions, and these are very high end, fancy things. Um, I would say you have to listen to your clients. They'll tell you what trends are in. Listen to the people in your industry because they'll also have feedback for you, and you have to just keep adapting. During COVID, many people were willing to spend more money because they were looking at their backyard as a safe place. Now you have to be a little more value oriented for clients to spend money, and that's great. I mean, it still always starts with a great design. I always tell people you can adapt to any trend, but you have to have great designers. And I think that's CLC's greatest strength is that we have 8 or 9 full-time landscape architects, and all of them work with me and work with my son, Rich. So you're getting multiple inputs on everybody's design. You're not just getting one person. You don't hire a kid out of college and throw them a design and say, "Hey, go do this." Every one of my landscape architects are seasoned veterans, and they work under me, with me, and my son reviews virtually every design that goes in and out of our company. So when you have multiple people looking at something, I think it's easier to stay in touch with the different trends. We have a couple of really large projects. They're all residential. They're all backyards, but we're doing our a second one for a pickleball court, which has kind of become a trend now. We have a few in design, but we have a second install, I believe, on a pickleball court. We just finished one in South Orange, and we have 2 golf simulators. Buildings we had to design where they were going, so the husband could have his golf simulator inside. But we have a couple of really nice large projects that just have all the different elements: pool house, patio, pool, lots of plantings, pavilions, fire elements, and pulling all of that together and coordinating all the contractors is really an art form. And although I always say that our greatest strength is our designers, my son Rich says our greatest strength is our project managers, because they have to. It's like directing a symphony. It really is. When do you bring in this person, that person? How does this person doing his job without interfering with the other one? So there's a lot of different things that have to be orchestrated in getting these projects built. Anytime you need storage space or you have a client that would benefit from us, please let me know. And I appreciate you again, your nominations. It's nice. I gave both plaques to Nick, and that gentleman that I teared up about, he's the one who inspired me to some degree. So I gave both awards to Nick, and I told Glenn that I got to talk to him and text back and forth with him when he was still alive, and I sent him videos of our Christmas party where I gave the award because I had just received it that you nominated us for to Nick, and then I had a picture of me and Nick together, and a picture of Nick and him together. Nick went up to visit him before he passed, and he really was an inspiration to get into this stuff. So I was honored to be able to give it to Nick, and I was glad that he got to see it hanging on Nick's office, so to speak. Yeah. Thank you very much. Every year you get me an award. My son goes to these award things, and you only get called up for those kind of awards. The other awards, they just put it up on a big screen. Everybody gets to look at it, but you pick up your actual hardware, so to speak, at the end of the thing. You don't go up and get it. But when they do the humanitarian awards, this one, Eric he gets to go up. I don't go. My son goes, and he goes, "Yeah, I get a kick out of it, Dad." They always 2 years in a row, because he wasn't expecting it. Neither was I. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No, I thank you for all you've done. So I appreciate it.
Nick is a wonderful human being. Nick tells me he enjoys doing those kind of projects more than any of our other projects. So recommending people to us, we'll be able to do a free landscape every year.